What's up everyone, welcome back to a new video on the Alien Agro channel. Today we'll be going over the markets again, per usual. The first recording actually failed, so that's the reason that this upload is a bit later, because I noticed a bit too late. So now I have to make a second one, so I've already mapped out a few things, which makes it a little bit harder to explain, but we'll do it anyways. So we were looking at these as those previous range extensions, where we were wanting to see this level getting reclaimed. And if we did not hold around this level, we were expecting it to trade into here, right? Well, we held quite clear, where we also saw aggressive reclaim. Just look at this on the 1 hour. So as you can see, there's already a new range, but we'll get to that in a bit. Where these were your prior levels, right? But I deem them to be not that important anymore for now, besides this point, that's 128. So this level should be a thing to look at, which is why I put it here on the right, but I've already drawn the new range. Where I deem this high and this low to be some sort of range where this also had reenacted in the past. So if we will get a trade into here, this really would make some sort of logical range. So yeah, then we would have two reactions with that point. But I deem range to only be valid when we have one pivot point here, a second pivot point here, and we reenact and respect that 0.5 level on that initial move from the pivot low or pivot high, depending on which side, of course, the first move gets formed. So we have reenacted with this point, and what we see right after we reject from it on a 4 hour, where I stated we were looking at this previous consolidation to see rejections, whether we could break up from it or get some short term downside moves, which we ended up getting first, which should be quite clear from these 2 points right here, where we also again have a small sort of move towards the downside. So I deem this point to be very important right now. And when we are looking at this on a 1 day or even the 4 hour, we should be having our eyes on this 0.5 level, that if we close above this, we could technically trade into that 121.3k again. So this should be quite a logical, and when we just look at this, it just looks like a sort of upwards compression. So I really think we should see those highs again. Whether we will reject from this 0.75 level or that we really trade into those range highs and start to reject there and later form some new sort of price action. That's the question for now. So yeah, if we clear this level, simple, look at this first, then we can look at those range highs, where I think this should be an interesting point. Before we actually look at the exact range high. Because we by now should know that if you are waiting for only sweeps to be traded, you are most likely going to get fucked. Let's say you saw price trading down into here, and you wanted to wait for a sweep. What does it really do? It did touch that candle, but it only went to the body. So if you would have waited for a sweep, you wouldn't have gone inside of this piece. So I won't be betting on sweeps. So yeah, just look at this part of the candle to see some possible reversions. And if you see some buying pressure coming in here, just wait for a potential sweep, because then it could be a possibility. So watch the flows for this one, where this would be that full extension, in my opinion. And then, of course, we could look up if it happens. But until then, I deem this to be that range. So whether it will do some shit like this or just some minimum movements, whether it will be some shit like this, I don't know yet. But this just looks like a logical range, where this also had some reenaction. And you already should see your 0 to 5 level, previous price action, your 0.5 level, and then you have to think I'm only pointing this high to this low, and that 0.5 level has been previous support here and previous resistance right here. The 0.75 level, the same logic. So here it does look like this range is getting respected as well. How it will move from here, we should just watch this 0.5 level. Acceptance below, likely rotate down first. Whether it could be some shit like this, or deeper where we retest those range lows, or perhaps that sweep, which would be ideal, but too good to be true in my opinion. Which it will be very nice, but it just looks too good to be true. So going into a lower time frame, this was that previous chart where we had that logic from that previous video. I already removed this and we've drawn the chart where we had those previous highs, which this was that body. And we'll just look at this. We had those levels on top of the candlestick and the bodies, right? So here at this point was a line at the top of the wick. Let me zoom in even further. At the top of this wick, at the body, here again at the body, here again at the wick. We see how below it was a buy. Here again, we retested this, reclaimed it, and now we went up. So if I quickly go into only this part, because this had the most reactions, where we just look at this, how it has been respected here all this time, and then we went back up to those highs. Is now take the high again from this candle. Here we see this initial rejection and the second one. So this red level, of course, was that previous week high, which was formed there. So this should act still as massive resistance, knowing this is your 0.5 level with your previous week high. And we had this consolidation period right there as well. So we would like to see this level getting flipped on lower time frame and higher time frame, preferably. But looking at those lower time frames for BTC, should see this daily close again, right? It's daily close a reversion where we make a tiny move, taking out this, trading out the fake move, the reversion, and while this part occurs very, very often, as you should see, because now I can point it out multiple days in a row. So knowing that this move gets made a lot, try to focus more on this move, because if we get a move towards the downside as that reversion, meaning you get the move up, the move down as your reversion, this I call the small reversion, there is a chance of you getting the bigger reversion after. So this could also work in the opposite direction, where we first trade a bit higher, make that fake, start moving in the opposite direction, and then we have faked both sides, right? So here we see perfectly how this logic works, where we reclaim that daily open after that reversion has been made towards the downside, and we get an impulse move at the upper side already, where if we just look at this very quick reclaim till here, it's already 0.33% move. So I'm not calling some sort of bottom here, but this should be scalp if you're in. But I keep pointing out this pattern and it's a simple strategy because this is very easy to replicate and it occurs almost every day. So it's quite easy to train yourself to spot this setup, which is the reason I'm pointing it out. So when we look at this daily close, keep your eyes on that point, knowing this also is your 0.5 level. So these points in price should be very, very crucial. And on that lower time frame, the reenaction for tomorrow with that daily close will be interesting as well. So let's go into ETH, where it is just a beauty. Now in hindsight, I TP'd a bit too early. I could have taken my TP even higher, but yeah, I was I still couldn't complain with the TP I made. And later I went back into a long with some smaller size. Because you should understand by now that if you are trading in some period like this, and you have these compressions, you should have a lot more conviction of price going up explosively, right? So when I saw this tiny pullback where I stated that 3 was my crucial level, let's go back into this. What do we see? It perfectly became support. So when we were looking at yesterday's video, which were those scenarios we were looking at, finding acceptance below this or back above this, where we take some sort of liquidity on, I did not explain real deep whether it was this week or this week or this week, because we simply didn't know, right? We also had that daily close logic again, where we had that version small towards the upside, bigger towards the downside later, and then it starts to stabilize, starts to run up yet again on that London Open. So with this, we should know this is still way more bullish. And when we look at this as that major range, actually change this. Wait 1 second, guys. Yeah, there we go. When we just look at this, we should see at the upper side that this really was a low volume traded. And when we look at that first low volume note, it should be right around here. So 3, 5, 4, 2. So this could be a next low. Bit depending on what your strategy is, because we should know that this is still a clear uptrend, where we here had a little free drive with some, again, compression, which is what I tell you guys to study ranges. Because when we even look at just, this is a little sauce in between for the guys that stick through the video, enjoy. Let's just look at these cycles real quick. What do we see overall? Your impulse moments don't last a while. And what moments do last a while? These compressions. And in these compressions, you can position yourselves at those lows or trade the break. Right, here again, have a clear compression. Here again, we get a clear compression. Here again, here again. When do we get a clear compression in the top side? Here we get clear compression again. Right, you see it still getting back. Still getting back. This shit's working like a magnet. Here, what do you see? Yet again, compression. Then you get that impulse. And here, what do you see? Also get back into previous lows. Which now that I'm talking about this really looks like the chart that we've just shown. Was this on the 1 hour? I don't remember real quick. But you should get the point. And where we also see on this run up, where do you have time to position yourselves inside of this candle? You don't. Here you have time to position yourselves. When was your second best option? A newly made compression. Here you can position yourselves. When was the next time to position yourselves? A new compression. Look, no breaking above the high, barely breaking below the lows as well. Here, impulse. Compression. Impulse. Even bigger compression. Even bigger impulse. Again, a compression. Move. Compression. Move. So study these ranges, guys, because these ranges quite clearly show what price is doing. Whether it will break out or break down, you can't know in hindsight. So that is also a little thing to keep in mind. But yeah, this is still looking quite well. So yeah, I think ETH is still that stronger pair just looking at this. When we look at that ETH fully vertical, we're already trading into this. Where here, what we were saying again, we won't want to see acceptance below this. And what did we have here again? Some compression. Just like here, you had a high being made, we have a low being made, you later break that high, you end up going higher. Here we have the same logic, right? We see again a compression being formed, he starts to take off again against Bitcoin. So these compressions, study them. Here again, we had a bigger compression on a higher time frame. Here again, a compression leading to a big move. So compressions are quite important thing to keep in mind. Looking at that BTCD, this is, yeah, I think the thing everyone in crypto is waiting for. But I do think something like this could be logical as well, where we then later start breaking down. So keep your eyes on this point. If we start to do some sort of lower high action, we could see a little bit of bleeding on alts. But in general, I still think this should just go lower. When we look at this, yeah, I think it's time, guys. So when we look at the macro, actually, this really isn't a vital point. So yeah, this is right below that range low. So yeah, if we find acceptance below this, it's really great for your alts. If we hold above this, expect a little impulse, and then later we die down anyways on that BTC. So let's get back to that daily open. Yeah, this just looks very good. Yeah. Yeah, if we really break above this, which could be quite likely, looking at it a little bit deeper, then we should be looking at upside. We've already shown these extensions. If I ever go a little bit fast with certain things, just go back. We have the pause button built into YouTube for a reason. So one more thing to point out, which is that naked PLC. That if we really end up trading towards the downside, this should be a logical point to bid 11.8.3, which if I look at order books also are some older orders already laying. So other people are willing to buy here as well. So if we trade into here, this could be a bit of a zone to buy inside of, if we get it, and yeah, if we break up, just play those extensions, right? Play the momentum, which is the best to do as a scalper anyways. So I hope you liked this video a bit longer than expected. Wanted to keep this one short, but it ended up being 20 minutes anyway. So with that having said, guys, alien out. Bye.